Greetings Exiles, this is Cod Raziel coming to you with Sir Reginald Amadeus Fortescue III and Frank. And today we're bringing you the RighteouSplosion Pathfinder. The RighteouSplosion Pathfinder's main role in the RighteouSplosion Sixpack is pretty much everything as long as you're comfortable using flasks to sustain your survivability and damage. The advantages of the Pathfinder are that she's pretty much the strongest when it comes to having her flasks up. Disadvantage being that she's the weakest when her flasks are not up. This is basically a Pathfinder that uses Righteous Fire along with some Essence Juice to deal burst damage and increase the strength of Righteous Fire, while using flasks to also increase the power and radius of Righteous Fire as well as our own defenses. We use Righteous Fire as our main method for dealing with trash in our Cyclone to proc Elemental Equilibrium, as well as to proc our Explosions and Fortify, or Life Gain on hit, depending on which setup you have. So let's get on to the passive tree. Starting with the Ascendancy, we've picked up Nature's Boon for the reduced elemental damage taken, which helps us sustain Righteous Fire, into Master Alchemist, which basically makes us immune to all status elements that aren't Righteous Fire, and it also increases our elemental damage and gives us some chance to ignite with the explosions. Nature's Boon also gives us a chance to not consume flask charges, and our flasks gain extra charges every 3 seconds. Next, we've grabbed Nature's Adrenaline for the increased movement and attack speed while using our flasks, and Flask Effect and Duration, since none of the other nodes were really that beneficial to us. As for the passives themselves, we come out through the Evasion and Life of the Ranger, grabbing Primal Spirit and Heart of Oak for the life regeneration and flask charges gained that those two give us. We're also grabbing Druidic Rite for the flask charges gained and flask effect duration, and Herbalism for the flask life recovery and life. We're then coming down into Iron Reflexes to convert the evasion rating, since we get so much evasion rating scaling from our tree. We're then coming into Golem's Blood, grabbing the jewel socket next to Golem's Blood for an intuitive leap jewel with which we pick up Vigor, Revelry, and Cloth and Chain for resistances, armor, mana gained on hit, and an endurance charge. Coming into the center of the duelist, we grab Art of the Gladiator for attack speed, accuracy rating, and to ignore the movement penalties of our armor. We grab Bravery for some life and armor, and Master of the Arena to increase the radius of our Cyclone. We then come up grabbing the Jewel Socket for a Conqueror's Potency. This increases the effect of our flasks even further, as well as Arcane Chemistry to reduce the amount of flask charges needed to use a flask. This stacks pretty nicely with our belt, giving us an extra use in most cases of our flasks. We grab Sentinel for the resistances and armor, going into Constitution for life whenever we need it. Coming to the left, picking up Jewel Sockets for life and resist jewels. Combat Stamina for the 1.8% regen, 20% armor, and 5% life that provides. Coming down into the Marauder, we grab Born to Fight, Heart of the Warrior, Warrior's Blood, and Life Regeneration for the life and regeneration that provides us. To the left, we grab Barbarism for the +1 max fire resistance, as well as Stamina and Life Regeneration per endurance charge for an extra endurance charge and life regeneration. Finally, coming up through Shaper for the life regeneration and mana regeneration. Elemental Equilibrium to reduce the enemy's resistances. Another Jewel Socket for another life and resistance jewel. Elemental Overload for its 40% more elemental damage when we crit. Cruel Preparation for some extra life. Alchemist for the flask effectiveness and flask duration. And lastly, Blast Radius for just some extra radius. Now let's go over the gear for the Pathfinder version. First off, we have our Essence of Hysteria crafted Karui Scepter, which gives us 10% chance to cause explosions on hit. What we want on here is attack speed and flat lightning damage, or flat cold damage, as well as preferably an open suffix to craft weapon range onto. Socketed in the Pathfinder version, we have Controlled Destruction, Fire Penetration, and Elemental Focus. Next up we have our helm, which is a Essence of Horror crafted armor helm with Righteous Fire. What we want on here is life and some resistances as well as armor if we can. Socketed in that we have Righteous Fire, Elemental Focus, increased area of effect, and increased burning damage. Increased area of effect can be replaced with concentrated effect for bosses, if needed. Next up, our shield, a Rise of the Phoenix for the +8 maximum fire resistance. Socketed in there we have Purity of Fire, Determination, and Enduring Cry. Next up, our gloves. We have the Insanity Essence crafted. We would like accuracy rating on these, if we can, as well as life and resists. Socketed in there we have Cyclone, life gain on hit, and faster attacks, as well as Leap Slam. This just makes our Leap Slam and Cyclone 20% faster. Next up we have our boots, which would be either Death's Door or a rare pair of boots with life, resistances, and movement speed. Socketed in here we have cast when damage taken with Vortex, Blade Vortex, and increased duration. For our amulet we're using a marble amulet with some increased attributes, life and resistances. For our first ring we're using Calm's Way, which gives us 0.4% of maximum life regenerated per endurance charge, just for that extra life regeneration and that extra endurance charge. For our other ring we're using a rare ring with life and resistances and any stats we might need, and if we have to we can craft a flat damage from Elrion onto this ring just to proc our elemental equilibrium easier. For our body armor we're using Calm's Heart. This increases our life, which is much needed on the Pathfinder. It also increases our fire damage slightly. For our belt on the Pathfinder we're using a life, resistances and reduced flask charges used belt, which also can have increased flask effect duration if you can manage it. And that sums up the gear. From myself, Sir Reginald Amadeus Fortescue III and Frank, we say good luck and stay juicy. And like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitter.